Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 9, and I'll get it out of the way before I even start talking about the episode itself. So, I probably said before, and it's nothing new that you probably haven't heard or thought yourself, but I thought that killing off Carl was a very stupid idea. I still think that. I still think it's a very stupid idea. But the episode itself was good, and this is about the episode itself. So, yeah, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to talk about how I think killing Carl was a dumb idea or the aspect or thought of killing Carl. I'm just going to talk about the episode. What was good or bad about it, what I thought about it. Just know that it seems like it's all well that ends well or whatever, but I still think killing off Carl's just a stupid and unnecessary decision. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I still think that, but I still thought the episode was good. So let's go through it. Just accepting that he did die and that he is dying, that's the decision they made. Going off of that, I can say that for the episode, I loved the clarity that came with his impending death. The way that Carl was sort of calm and confident about it, I actually really liked that. I like that, it isn't this cheesy overacting thing where he's just freaking out, crying, getting depressed. No, he gets that news that sometimes you see or hear with people that find out they have a terminal illness, where he's like, well, now I need to go do what I need to go do before I die. I need to go and get this done. He writes these letters for everyone because he gets the idea, because Michonne left him a letter and he didn't know if she was going to be back in time for him to say goodbye, so he starts writing letters for everyone to say his goodbyes. He spends time with Judith, taking pictures, leaving behind his handprint with hers. He takes his time to leave these things behind, and he does so calmly and with a smile, and I actually really, really loved that. It showed how the knowing that he is dying and that there's nothing he can do to save himself actually made him mature. It made him really mature as a character. Then we find out Sadiq is a doctor, and Sadiq's totally going to be Maggie's doctor to quickly give us that whole Carl died for a reason, he ended up saving Maggie's baby or whatever and ushering in the future thing. We're going to be getting that, and Sadiq says later on that he's going to be honoring Carl through what he does because Carl helped him honor his mother and he saved his life. So I'm going to stick with the stuff that happens with Carl and that side of the story first, and after I talk about that, I'll talk about the stuff with Carol, Morgan, and Ezekiel. So continuing on with the Carl stuff. Carl leaves his hat to Judith as everyone leaves. We have a lot of great scenes with Carl and other characters. Not that many other characters. I think maybe we'll see other characters reading the notes from him sometime in the future, and that could be a good way to keep this going on and have his goodbyes for the other characters. But either way, leaves his hat to Judith. Everybody leaves except for Rick, Michonne, and Carl. Rick and Michonne take Carl up. And I kind of skimmed over it, I didn't talk about it, but I like the little exchange where they're being bombed and Michonne sort of freaks out and is telling Dwight, come on, you've got to stop this, you're one of them, and we all know there's nothing he can do. And he says, no, we just have to wait for them to leave, and then we can leave. So they all leave. Later on, Michonne and Rick are carrying Carl up to get him outside, which kind of, to me, I'm like, none of the Saviors came back to check if any of them came back, but whatever, is what it is. I'm not going to nitpick with little stuff like that doesn't make sense. But Carl has a great final speech up there. I loved the last speech he had about how there were things that bothered him and how him growing up in this world as a kid, doing bad things like killing people became way too easy. And the biggest thing that Rick did that stuck with him was when he let the people from Woodbury in, he put away his gun, and he tried to live with them. And he says that Rick can be like that again. Things can be like that again. So that sort of shows, again, that maturity of what he said before, there has to be something after all this. What other characters have said as well, there has to be something after all of this. So going on from there, Carl ends things on his own terms, which I really, really liked. He didn't want to put that on anyone else. He had to do it himself. And we find out that the visions of the future were all of the things that Carl imagined things could be after all of this, including Negan being a productive part of their community, because Carl thinks that they can do that. They can bring everyone together and it can work. And I would agree with Carl in that aspect. I think it could. So then that's pretty much that. They bury Carl. We see a bloody Rick up against this tree in a field. That's gotta symbolize something sometime in the future that we'll get around to. But either way, now that we're done with that part of things, let's talk about the stuff that happened with the kingdom side of things. Gavin's story to me is a totally underrated one, because for a while now he's been this character where he is a savior, but it's clear that he's not a horrible person. He's just doing his job. He is just in this role. And that's what we get from these scenes. He's trying his hardest to play his role, and he feels like this is sort of almost a destiny that he's trapped in. He's like, you can't fight against Negan. Nothing we can do. If we go against the grain, it isn't going to help any of us. It's look where it got you, Ezekiel. And things like that. So his own fear has him trapped into this self-fulfilling destiny, this prophecy that he's made for himself, where he has to follow Negan or he dies. And that's sort of something that he stuck himself into. And Ezekiel has tried to save him. I like one line that Ezekiel had later on where he was like, all this time I thought I was saving my ass, but it turns out I was saving yours, or whatever. That was really good. Morgan throughout this is continuing his spiral into murder, just killing all these saviors, and it was very, very badass. I love Morgan as a character. When he pulled the guts out of the guy, damn, that was a good scene. Just because another thing we haven't seen yet, I thought it was really, really cool. And him just being portrayed sort of like this horror movie villain almost, the way he was slaughtering the saviors. So it does a lot for Morgan's character, because that's juxtaposed with Rick, and we're seeing how the two characters changed. And at the end of this all, Henry kills Gavin. That's hopefully a wake-up call for Morgan. And I like too how I saw somebody else bring it up, where him killing Gavin after Gavin was unarmed, basically had surrendered. Henry killing him is sort of like Carl killing that kid. He was a kid killing someone who surrendered, and it showed kind of, I guess, how easy it became to be like that. And that's going to hopefully be a call on Morgan to do better and to be better. So I loved that. It wasn't perfect. I think it could have been much better as an episode, but I thought the episode did tell two really, really good stories juxtaposed against each other of how Rick and Morgan have changed so far and how they could still change and be better in the future. I like the way that story was told, especially telling that story through Carl. Like I said, I don't like that Carl died. I don't want to harp on that too much. But I think this episode to me, it had a chance to completely hurt me. Like, the series, season 7, there were episodes I liked, episodes I didn't like, but for the show overall, it sucked. This was one of my favorite shows in season 7, sucked so much of the hype out of it, just by being so slow and plotting and just taking a whole ton of bottle episodes, and season 7 just hurt my hype for the show a lot. And season 8 had been slowly building that back up, and then they make the decision to kill Carl, and I'm like, this could either hurt my hype for the series a lot, or they could make something good out of it. I think they made something good out of it. Still disappointed that it happened, but at least they made something good out of it. So yeah, I think that as a strong episode, I'd give it 8.5 futures out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good episode. Like I said, still disappointed. I think a lot of people, most people probably are, that Carl is dead. But as an episode, it would be unfair of me to complain too much, because it was a good episode. A really good episode even. So either way, we'll see where the rest of this season goes. I think there's a lot of good stuff still to come, and I'm interested to see how the TV show is going to handle the rest of the storyline. But yeah, that's it. If you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more The Walking Dead, both comics and TV show. Follow on Twitter, I suppose, if you want, and I can talk to you there or keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server, just ask and I'll give you one. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.